Hi guys, welcome back to another daily tarot card. These are your daily tarot cards for Tuesday, June the 20th, 2023. Today we are pulling from the Tarot of Dreams. Pay attention to your dreams. Write down. I got this, I don't know if it's a Garavoid number. It's just a number they told me. So I'm like, okay, I wrote it down. And then last night they told me a name. So I wrote that down. And it's like, we don't know what the connection is yet. But write down the date, because it's like you'll get these messages and you're just like, you'll appreciate it later on. Like, you know what I mean? Especially when it comes into fruition. Like, what were they hinting at? Obviously they're communicating these things with you for a reason. So pay attention to those. 10 of Cups, we've been getting a lot. Our cup runneth over, unconditional love around us. You know what I mean? If you ask tarot a question, if you're that type of person that asks questions or asks for a yes or no answer during a reading before you watch it, this is a yes. This is content, our family, our sanctuary. You know what I mean? Ace of Coins. So a new opportunity will be presented to us from the universe. And this is where, there's an opportunity to ascend a mountain. So Storm said it the best on Below Deck Mediterranean, where he sat there and said, becoming a bosun, he was excited to ascend this mountain. And I love that, that interpretation. You know what I mean? Every opportunity is like ascending a mountain. It's very much like a Fool journey. We sit there, opportunity presents itself, and it's like, we don't know what people, places, things, lions and tigers and bears, oh my, that we'll meet along this journey. But we're excited to the lessons that'll teach us. And when we get to the top of the mountain, we're going to sit there and be like, look how far I come. I was excited for it and scared and hesitant at the same time. There is a hesitation in this situation here. There is something keeping us up at night. But you know what? Sometimes we have to sit there and sit something out. It's a waste of our energy. And I hate when I say waste of energy. It's like it's not worth it. It is worth it, but I feel like it's falling on deaf ears. This person has made their decision what they're going to do. Yes, you have concerns. You have questions. You know what I mean? But the thing is, at the end of the day, people are going to do what they're going to do. We can't sit there and say, do what makes you happy as long as you're not hurting anyone else. And then go on the flip side and say, well, I feel this way. You know what I mean? Because I know with this particular person, they'll see it as jealousy. So I'm just like, you know what? This isn't a battle that I need to battle. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just like, even though we have concerns, it's like, have concerns, pray for them, ask for the universe to protect them and guide them, and that's all we can do. I gave up. I'm like, take this, Lord, off of my heart, and I give it up to you. And I'm like, whatever is going to happen here is going to happen here. It's not my journey, so as much as I care for people, it's like, sometimes you can't fix everything, man. You don't have to take on all the world's battles. We have the Ace of Wands. I feel like something's about to explode in your life in a very positive way. Being pushed out of our comfort zone. Embracing that fire, bravery, courage, strength, resilience. You know what I mean? I feel like things are going to be all equal. I feel like going back to the Emperor, where all sides are equal. This 7 of Coins, they're showing like fruit falling from the tree. I feel like blessings falling down from the tree. Some of these fruits are big, and some of these fruits are small, but it's like, don't negate the fact that it's a blessing either way. If you're the type of person that makes a garden, especially near the end of the season, it's not enough time for them to flourish into bigger plants because the weather's a little too cold. So I feel like this is where, the universe is like, you know what? Either way, it's a blessing. Big or small, see it as that, just as that. It's a blessing. You know what I mean? They're showing that it's a temptation, to sit there. Oh, it looks juicy. It looks like it's ready to eat, but it has to, like, they're showing like mangoes is what they're showing me. So they're showing like, it's yellow and red, but there's still some green on there. And it's like, let that green go away. And then that it's going to be a juicy, delicious mango. That sweetness. That's what we're waiting for, is the sweetness, So it's like, give it time and let it get sweet, and you will enjoy it that much more. Like when me and Michael sit there and we go and harvest, we usually go out there and we're like, oh, what are we going to cook for lunch or dinner, we'll go out and we'll harvest, from the garden. And it's just like we see zucchinis that we could eat, but it's just like, let's give it a couple more days, and it'll be that much bigger, And then we go out there and it's bigger. It's like, let's give it a couple more days because we know the longer we wait, not too long where it just doesn't taste good, but it's just like, let it grow out. And it's like, we'll enjoy it that much more. We eat it too soon. We'll only, we'll get a couple of bites where we could sit there and we could get a plate full, So it's just like waiting for things in the right timing. Don't rush things. And I feel like that's why she's in this seated position. It's like fill your life with things that you love and enjoy. You know what I mean? With no harm to none or yourself. And it's just like, let the time pass by and you'll be able to sit there and reap these rewards. I know it's frustrating waiting. Like I have no patience whatsoever. You know what I mean? I'm just cleaning my glasses as I'm talking. But it's just like, you know what I mean? When it comes in, you'll be so thankful that you waited. You'll be so grateful that you waited because it'll be that much more sweeter. But it's like, don't negate the blessing, big or small, Really see it as that, When you're grateful for the small ones and appreciative, they will bring in much more blessings for you because they're like, it doesn't matter if it's big or small. Either way, they have an appreciation. We have the world. I feel like you're heading in a new direction, a new destination. You know what I mean? A move in some ways. And for some of you, this is something that you've wanted. I feel like September, things are being pushed forward is what they're saying. I don't know why September. It's more than they thought. So I know in my case, people are moving to the new one, and we're moving. Oh, okay, because of the rainy weather. I guess it's they're showing the rain. I guess that's why it's kind of been set back a bit. So they're showing the pavement to like the driveway and like the actual driveway to the house, and then they're showing like it's dirt headed into there. So I guess they want to put pave the roads and stuff like that. Because they want to put the greenery and the grass and everything, and they don't want to wait too long. Because here where we live, it's like when it gets cold, it gets cold. Like even tonight, it's supposed to go down to 5. So it's like, I know I got to bring the plants in because they'll probably survive it, but why risk it? You know what I mean? Even though, you know what I mean? It's just like when you buy, like you appreciate what you have. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's another thing. Appreciating what we are currently have in our life. You know what I mean? Like, we wish we could tweak some things. Yeah, absolutely. But it's like, being grateful for what is there right now in the present moment. Queen of Cups, this is all about you. This is like, you know what I mean? This is usually when I get the Queen of Cups, it's like, oh, you're a giver. Those energies are still present. But it's about nurturing yourself. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just like, watching what you're doing and saying the thoughts that you're thinking. You know what I mean? It's like, sit there and treat yourself with respect. Treat yourself how you treat others. You know what I mean? Sit there and care for yourself and do those big things and those small things. The things that make you happy. You know what I mean? Big or small. It's like, do the things that make you happy. You know what I mean? It's like, we work hard. We play hard. You know what I mean? So it's just like, sit there and do the things that put a smile on your face. You don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Just worry about yourself. So we're going to start off with the 10 of Cups, according to the Tarot of Dreams. So peak emotion fulfillment, happy family, like whether family life, whether biological family or simply a group of friends. Happy family occasions or interactions. Pleasant home activities, having too high expectations, wishful thinking. I feel like we put these high expectations on our children. As long as our children are happy and healthy and what they're doing makes them happy, or maybe they're like kind of like myself and not, just kind of figuring out who they are in the world. You know what I mean? Like we're not getting these outside influences or naysayers where they, keep on crapping on you. And it's just like, when you're done high school, I guess, is in this sense is where they're showing I was done high school. It's like I bloomed into who I was. I got into makeup, I got into tattooing and all this other stuff. So it's just like, that's where I started like thinking about things I wanted to do. So it's just like, honestly, I understand where some parents come from. It's like, I rather them go into college but it's like, that's a lot of debt that you're accumulating just to figure out what you want to be. And I'm like, with myself, I just worked, you know what I mean? And I ended up, what I was running away from ended up being, came full circle. And it was like, I ended up being, who was meant to be. And it was a choice. They said, you could become a professional healer or you don't have to be. You know what I mean? I guess I could have kept my gift to myself, got channel messages for myself and whatnot. But it's just like, I wouldn't have met all these wonderful people. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have, the rapper that I read for or the therapist that I read for. Like, you know what I mean? It's just people that really have an impact on my life where, I genuinely care about them. It's just like, they're not just an acquaintance. You know what I mean? It's just like you have those connections, those interconnections. I never would have met these people if it wasn't for it. So imagine the image on this card can also be seen as somewhat idealized one. Yeah, because it's like, we're taught like, you after you graduate, you go to college and you meet your partner and you get a good job and you buy a house, you have kids and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, that's not how the world is anymore. A lot of people are living their lives for themselves now. Perhaps you're setting your expectations too high and are indulging in wishful thinking. Family life can be messy as well as joyous, and you will probably be better off if you have realistic expectations rather than assuming everything will be rosy. It's hard having a family. Yes, 100%. But you know what? I would not give it up for anything in the world. When me and my son are just sitting there laughing our butts off and watching shows together and, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like you can never put a price on that. That's priceless. That's a moment in time you will never live again. You know what I mean? To see how that child has grown. We're talking about sitting on top of that mountain and looking at how far you come. It's like even then with them, like, with their stop motions and their filming and whatever they're doing, it's just like, it's just how much they've grown and turned into these amazing human beings. Family life can be messy as well as joyous. You will probably be better off with realistic expectations. The drive to establish one's domain or territory. Very moon energy, the moon card. This is Mars in Pisces. But it's just like to drive to establish one's domain or territory. Tempered by the compassion and as awareness of higher reality. Pisces, underlying everyday family events. So, awareness of higher reality, like with a passing, it's like, you know what I mean? It's just like we can't physically see them anymore for some of us, because we haven't, our eyes, our sight, our higher sight hasn't come in, or it's just like it's developing. And it's like when you get to see someone's loved one and hear the feelings and compassion that they have for one another, it's like that love has never changed. It's transformed to something deeper because there's a deep connection there that cannot be wavered. It's just like you sit there and it's just like dare I say you've grown even more in love. You know what I mean? Because it's like that temporary separation, as they call it. You know what I mean? It's, I've talked about that with some people and they think I'm nuts. That's fine. You haven't experienced it. When you've experienced your loved ones around you, and I always say to my kids, like, they could be anywhere in the world and they choose to be here. I said, what a freaking gift. You know what I mean? When I do readings for individuals and their loved one comes in so potently, I'm like, what a freaking love that is. That it's just like they're like, that's twice that I've had that happen. Maybe 3 times where they'll sit there and they're like, okay, I'm going to go. And I'm like, no, you don't need to go. I'm like, let me do my reading. You're not bothering me. If you have anything to say, I'm like, say it and I will stop what I'm doing and I will say what you're saying. You know what I mean? Because it means that much more because, you're sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and guiding them. You know what I mean? Because not only is spirit coming through with this information, but you're also affirming that information, and you're someone they trust. To sit there and get that message even more potently. And I feel like it's just like, for me, like, especially, and I'm not kidding you, try moon water. I'm not kidding you. Sit there, get yourself you could use mason jars, I feel like would be the best thing. But I have these really cool drinking bottles that I got from the dollar store. One's like a clear one, and it's just like, I've done a video on it and I shared it, and it's just like, even putting my third eye necklace in there, it's just like, I'm more emotional, but I know intuitively, especially doing channel messages for people, it's that much more potent. You know what I mean? But I also feel like when people are more free willing of energy, they trust more. Their guards aren't so up, so you don't feel like you're pulling really hard. That's when it's exhausting. When you're really like trying to channel like people, and something's coming in here, but it's like in riddles, rather than a smooth conversation. So it's just like, the more you trust, the more that you're open, the more that you allow that back and forth to happen, and the easier and more potent the messages will be. It's like it's just free flowing. It's like you're just having a conversation. So Ace of Wands, energy, the desire to change something in your life or in your environment, and look how it's right underneath the world. And I'm like, I feel like you're being drawn to a new destination. And I feel like maybe that's why that Queen of Cups is there, and they're like, you have to do it for yourself. So maybe this is where I'm saying it will go against everyone else and they'll be upset about it. But you, as a family unit, you know what I mean? Where it's just like you come together as a group and that's how we do things in this household. My children are free to voice their opinion. I don't feel comfortable doing this. And I said, okay. So I asked each individual, how do you feel? How do you feel? We all came to the same decision. So we did it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit there and force my children to do things they don't want to, So the desire to change something in our environment. The Ace of Wands may be experienced at different levels of intensity. Sometimes you may get a small niggling of satisfaction, desire to make something in your environment different than it is. At the other end of the spectrum, you may find yourself overwhelmed with desire to save the world or to turn off and join the Foreign Legion. So the desire to save the world. We cannot save everybody. We cannot sit there and tell people how to live their lives. We may have deep concerns, but what you can do for them, honestly, especially if they're the type of person that's confrontational, that will see that as an attack, you just sit there and be like, you know what, universe? They're saying resilient, We have an iguana there, and I believe it's iguanas that their limbs fall off and they're soaked in water and it replenishes back. So maybe like you're resilient. You yourself is resilient. But you're resilient in explosive situations. But I feel like, honestly, with that volcano, I feel like something in your life is about to erupt. I feel like in a very positive way. And I feel like it's putting you out of your comfort zone. And I feel like this is where they're saying you're resilient. You know what I mean? Because you're afraid. You know what I mean? Like, we're always afraid to put ourselves in new situations because we're afraid to fail. That's the biggest thing. Fear, worry, and doubt, that lives in our head because we've heard these things all our lives. Oh, you're this, you're this, you're this. But, that beacon of light, that beacon of hope, I feel like even, and this is, I don't want to go too much into this side because I don't feel that with this. I don't feel doom and gloom. I don't feel like disaster, but I feel like it's even in crazy situations or dark situations or explosive situations, there's still a light, that like, I very much feel lighthouse energy in the storm where we're able to see the light. But I feel like, saving the world, it's like, we're concerned about people in our life, and I've been obsessively thinking about this, but it's just like, I remember way back in the day, and I know we're grown and different now, but still, it's just like they said it was resentment and jealousy and this and that, and it's like, but that's not who I am. I'm saying this out of concern for you because I genuinely care. You know what I mean? And that, you know what I mean? I'm afraid they won't see it that way. So I'm just like, you know what? The best thing I could do, and I sat there and I said to God, I'm like, please take this weight off my heart. This isn't my battle. You know what I mean? I'm like, I will sit there and love them from afar, let them do what they need to do, but I'm not getting involved. I'm not wasting my energy. Either way, the ace represents an opportunity to feel the fire running through your veins. Brace that fire. That's what they've been saying to us all year. Bravery, courage, strength, resilience. Like the lava in this card, when involving in a project or endeavor, success will often depend on your ability to remain in the primal feelings that inspires you to begin in the first place. And that's what sometimes we do, not forget it, but it's just like it gets tedious, or we're exhausted from other elements in our life, especially as healers. And it's just like we need to take a break, you know? And don't be afraid to take those breaks. People will say things. That's fine. Let them say what they're going to say. But, you know, at the end of the day, you got to wash yourself. They're saying exhaustion, you know? So if you're feeling exhausted, it's like, you know, you got to take those 5 minutes, those 10 minutes, those, 10 days, whatever it is for yourself. People may not understand. It's not for them to understand. When you have the abilities that we have, and all of us are born with it, it's just some of us it's like anything. Like I was talking about my son's stop motion, how he sat there and he's like, Mom, where I started, where I am now is totally different. I'm like, yeah, because you put the time into it. You put the devotion into it. You watch it after you're done. You're like, I want to tweak this and I want to tweak that. I do the same thing with my videos. I want to tweak this. I want to tweak that. I want to do this. I want to do that. You know what I mean? So it's just like, we got to understand that. Sometimes as healers, we do need a break. It's a lot. 7 of Coins, patience, evolution. Something you have nurtured can grow on its own. Definitely like children. With a puppy, you teach them how to potty train and sit and roll over and all that good stuff. And I feel like that's just what they're saying. Now can do it on their own. They don't need, you know what I mean? They tell you when they need to go to the bathroom, that, you know what I mean? That you put their food and water out. Like, you don't have to get up every 4 hours and teach them. This card could indicate that you have nurtured something and it has grown to the point where you no longer requires your constant attention. Now you can sit back and watch it grow. Alternatively, the woman can be seen at a crossroads, evaluating the situation to determine whether her next move will be. Will she pick the fruit? Will she fertilize the tree? Will she cut down the tree and plant something else? She stares out of this card at us if asking, what would you do? The woman companion sits on her lap, eager to help harvest. I feel like it's just like, like I was saying, like they were showing like with the zucchini, it's like we could eat it now and have a smaller portion. Or we could sit there and let it grow. Not overly grow and it's just like, ugh. Anyone that lets fruit, like vegetables or anything overgrow, it doesn't taste right. So it's just like, we could sit there and let it grow to a bigger portion and enjoy it even that much more. Have a good taste of it. Or we could sit there and harvest it too soon. But in my eyes, especially the fact that they were showing like the fruit falling from the tree and it was mangoes. It's like big ones and small ones, or maybe even apricots, but they were showing, it's like, I feel like this is like where when we wake up in the morning, wake it up with a positive attitude. It's just like, thank you for another blessed day. You know what I mean? Thank you for all that will and will be in my life. Every day and every way, my life continues to get better and better. Wake it up with that appreciative heart that, we don't know what today is going to bring into our life, but either way, we're going to make the most of it and we're going to be grateful for it. I had to change my mindset about some things in life, and it's just like, because I was really getting about it. And I'm like, you know what? This is what it does for my life. This is what it brings in. Do what I need to do and keep moving forward. So it's just like, it's all about your mindset. We may not like the things that we have to do in life, but it's just like sometimes those are the necessary things to do. So the world, enlightenment, attachment, completion, at the same time, a new beginning. Seeing things as they are. Something that had seemed silly is now seen as profound. Being in, endured to life's inequalities, dancing in your limitations. I love that. Something that had seemed silly now seen as profound. How many people sat there and it's just like, oh, your card readings are silly and all this and that and poo pooed on them. And now they're like, oh, I'm waiting for you to do a reading for me. And it's just like, you know, take it on the shoulder, take it on the chin. So there's a Zen proverb. Before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. It definitely is a chore. It definitely is a chore. It's something we have to nurture and develop and respect, definitely. The circular form suggests an egg, thus leading to an incompletion that the fool, having attained limitless enlightenment, at the same time merely an embryo, so like a birth of something, a new beginning. So we're in that, you know what I mean? So don't rush this, what's incubating here. You know what I mean? Something is about to be born in your life, so we get that twice with the world and with the Ace of Wands there. We get this embryo energy and it's just like, don't rush it, As excited as we are for this new beginning in our life, it's like, and loving something you've never met before, unconditionally. You know what I mean? What you're putting into your body, what's around you, what you're drinking. You know what I mean? It's like you're being careful because you know that your actions have consequences on this beautiful miracle growing inside of you. You know what I mean? So it's just like you're very cautious about it because it's just like, it doesn't only just affect me. It also affects what's growing inside of me. And even though we never meet them, we can see pictures and everything like that until you hold that child in your arms and they hold your finger or they lay on you, being skin to skin. It's just like you just like that connection, that bond, So I feel like something's coming in here that you will be very attached to. You will eventually hatch, thus beginning the journey beginning on the Fool card. This is the way of the voyage, never really ends, but rather spirals even onward and onward. Thus a seductive stage of existence and awareness, just as the circular frame never ends, but rather continues round and round. The circle also suggests the Fool's signature numeral, 0, which is what we know symbolizes nothing, and simultaneously the potential of everything. I feel like it's how you all see it. You can see it as nothingness. Like even, I can't remember what I was reading, but it was just like, especially after Shane passed, I felt like my life was over. It's just like, you know what I mean? This person I could depend on and everything like that. It's like, how do we move forward from here? I never understood. I just took it. Sometimes I had to take it moment by moment. I would sit there and I would just want to go back to sleep. And I knew I couldn't sleep the day away. I had to work. I had to take care of the kids. I couldn't spend my life in bed, but it's just like, 15 minutes would feel like 3 hours. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, it's got to be like, you don't look at the clock and it's like, oh, it must be like, 4 or 5 o'clock. And it's like only 15 minutes has passed. It's just, that time to heal. It's like you need time, like they're saying, time to incubate, and that time I had to be in a cocoon, in a chrysalis, put myself in a chrysalis, and the universe put me in a chrysalis, and it's like I had to heal. I had to sit there and isolate myself so I could sit there and heal the way I needed to heal, so it doesn't affect me, down the road. Ta means the signature or seal. The universe bestows the diploma signed, sealed, and delivered. Saturn is the planet of restriction. And sometimes when we do have new journeys, I feel like what restricts us most is our fear. I don't think I read the Ace of Coins. But we'll go to the Queen of Cups. So, especially if you've been drinking moon water, this is where those deep emotions come in. So, queens are feelings. Cup is the suit of feelings. And thus, the Queen of Cups is doubly emotional. Because the Queen inhabits the realms of emotion, she is not thrown off balance by feeling the way of most of us are. She calmly takes them into her stride and rides them like the currents to help her to get where she wants to go. The Queen suggests that for the moment we forget about rational plans and allies and instead live with our heart instead of our head. You know? And I understand where they're saying live with our heart instead of our head, but in the situation that I did, it's like, especially when they were bringing up certain situations from the past, it's just like, you know, sometimes we don't have to have our say or put input in every situation, you know. That's also like, let it go, let Yahweh and Yeshua deal with it. I will pray for them, and that's that. Like, you know. So 2/3 Cancer and 1/3 Gemini. So this, you know, cusp energy. My son has this. So the Queen of Cups thinks Gemini only in emotion terms, Cancer. You know, both emotional creatures, but you know, with Cancer, it's like they kind of push down their feelings. You know, kind of avoidance behavior. You know, why feel these things? Because it's perceived as weak. You know, and then it all bubbles to the surface. Very Scorpio energy. You know, where it's just like they have this hard exterior, so does Cancers, but they're very sensitive on the inside. So it's like you got to be very careful on how you handle the situation or handle them as a person, you know. But I feel like, you know, especially myself, it's like I always want to be like, you know, that fixer. You know, Libras are very much that energy. Like, you know, we want to fix this situation. You're going through this, let me help you. But if they're not asking for help, it's just like, you know what I mean? Or they feel like they're okay. It's just like, you know, I just get this sick feeling and I'm just like, you know, I know how they're going to perceive it. And it's just going to cause more conflict than anything. So it's just like, leave it alone, you know? As much as it kills us sometimes, not to say anything, you know? Like I said, it's just like, I don't know what to do in this situation. Let go and let God. I'm not going to sit there and drain myself of my energy into a situation and it blows up in my face. So it's just better to take a step back, let things happen the way that they're supposed to, and pray that things will turn out for the best. You know, that's all you can do sometimes. We can't fix everything, you know, as much as we'd like to. They're showing like gluing like Lego pieces is what they're showing. So it's a more solid structure. We're trying to glue it together so it doesn't fall apart. But, you know, we can't fix everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed these daily tarot cards for Tuesday, June the 20th, 2023. May the universe bless you good. We'll see you for the next daily tarot card. Bye.